All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep into neuromorphic computing.
Ooh, that sounds intense.
It is, kind of.
hmm
Basically, they're making computers that work more like brains.
Like actual human brains.
Yep, exactly. And we're looking at this article from scitechdaily.com. Just came out on November 14th, 2024.
Okay, cool.
It's called Revolutionizing AI, the tiny tech powering brain-like computers.
So, like, better AI is the goal.
That's a big part of it. And get this, the key is something super tiny, like atomically thin. These things called memristors.
Hold on. Atomically thin? That's like smaller than a nanometer, right?
Way smaller. A sheet of paper is 100,000 nanometers thick. Mind-blowing. Trust me,
Yeah, that's crazy small. But what are memristors? What do they actually do?
Well, they're like tiny little artificial neurons.
Whoa, hold on. How does that even work?
They're these memory resistors, and they can change how much they resist electricity based on the signals they get.
Huh. So, like, kind of like how our brain connections get stronger or weaker based on what we learn?
That's exactly it. And that's why there's such a big deal for AI.
Because normal computers, even the super powerful ones, aren't good at that whole learning and adapting thing.
Right, they're awesome at crunching numbers, but not so much at thinking creatively or solving problems like we do.
So memristors could be the key to making AI that's way more, like, human in how it thinks.
That's the idea. And the cool thing is, researchers are using this co-design approach. So they're working on the materials, how to make them, and testing them all at the same time.
Oh, that's smart. So they make sure it actually works in the real world, not just as a cool theory.
Exactly. And the researchers in this article, they're doing something nobody else is. They figured out how to stack specific atomic layers to create these ultra-thin memristors.
So like building with atomic Legos.
Right. And that means they can really fine-tune how the memristors behave, make them perfect for specific tasks.
That's wild. So we're not just talking smaller, we're talking smaller A&D, way more powerful and adaptable.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Because this could mean AI that's not just smarter, but also way more energy efficient.
Right, because right now, the big AI models are total energy hogs.
Huge. But with memristors, you could have AI-powered devices that run for, like, weeks on a single charge.
Whoa, that would change everything. Phones, self-driving cars, even medical implants.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. This tiny little thing, barely visible even under a microscope, could totally revolutionize the world.
I'd say that qualifies as a deep dive topic for sure.
I think so too. But there's a lot more to uncover. Stay tuned, because we're just getting started.
Can't wait. It's kind of like we're blurring the lines, you know?
See what?
Between computers and, like, actual brains. It's wild.
Yeah, it's like we're looking to nature for inspiration on how to build the next level of tech.
Totally. And the cool thing is, by trying to copy the brain with these memristors, we might actually learn more about how it works, too.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a two-way street. We're making better AI and understanding ourselves better at the same time.
Exactly. Like the way those memristors change their resistance, mimicking the synapses.
Yeah.
It could help us understand how learning and memory actually happen in our brains.
Whoa, that's pretty deep. So it's not just about making smarter computers. It's about unlocking some of the mysteries of the human mind.
It really is. And who knows what kind of doors that could open, not just for computing, but for, like, neuroscience, psychology, maybe even medicine.
So the article mentioned this Judy Wu. She's a professor at the University of Kansas, and she's leading this whole project. What's she all about?
Oh, she's amazing. She and her team are like the pioneers of this whole neuromorphic computing thing.
What makes them so special?
Well, they're experts in all these different areas. Material science, physics, nanotechnology. You need all of that to make this atomic level engineering work.
Right, because it's not like your average computer chip. It takes some serious out-of-the-box thinking to build something this small and complex.
For sure. And it's not just about having the right skills. You need a lot of collaboration between different experts.
Which brings us back to that co-design approach.
Exactly. They've got theoretical physicists working with material scientists and electrical engineers, all in the same room, figuring it out together.
That's got to be a pretty dynamic environment. A lot of brain power in one place.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the perfect example of how, like, mixing different perspectives can lead to some really groundbreaking stuff.
And speaking of mixing things up, the article also mentioned their efforts to train the next generation of scientists, and specifically they're working with migrant students, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's really important. Migrant students often don't get the same opportunities to get into STEM fields, you know, because they're moving around a lot.
Makes sense. So this program is kind of leveling the playing field a bit.
Exactly. And honestly, It's just smart for the whole industry. The U.S. needs more people skilled in semiconductors, and this program helps to make sure those skills are coming from a diverse group of people.
So it's good for the students, good for the industry, good for everyone. I like that.
Yeah, it's like planting seeds for the future, both for the technology and for the people who will be using it.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the mind-blowing science, the potential for super smart and efficient AI, and even the social impact of this technology.
Yeah, it's been a pretty comprehensive deep dive so far.
But something you said earlier really stuck with me. That thing about the ethical side of all this?
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, it's all super exciting, but we got to be careful too. Yeah?
Totally. We're talking about AI that could learn and adapt like us. What happens if it learns the wrong things? Or if it gets too powerful?
Those are the tough questions we need to be asking ourselves. How do we make sure this technology is used for good? How do we prevent any unintended consequences?
Yeah, because the article was all about the cool science, but there's a whole other side to this.
Definitely. And it's not just up to the scientists to figure it out. Policymakers, ethicists, the public, everyone needs to be part of the conversation.
It's a shared responsibility, right?
Yeah.
We're all shaping the future of AI, whether we realize it or not.
Absolutely. It's like we're standing at this crossroads, and the choices we make now will determine what that future looks like. Exciting, but a little scary too, you know?
I hear you. So for our listeners who are ready to dive even deeper, where should they go? What resources would you recommend?
Well, the article mentioned the NSF's Future of Semiconductor program. It's called Fuse 2.
Fuse 2, got it.
That's a great place to start to see what research is being done. And if you're interested in the ethics side, there are a bunch of organizations and think tanks that are looking into the responsible development of AI.
Awesome. And beyond just learning about it, I'd say don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. Think about the kind of future you want to see with this technology.
Exactly. Because it's not just about what we can do, it's about what we should do. And that's a conversation we need to have together.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible, and I feel like we're just getting started.
Me too. There's so much more to explore, so much more to learn. It's a pretty amazing time to be alive, honestly.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. You know, we've talked about all this amazing tech, how it could change AI, but there's this other side to it that I thought was really interesting.
What's that?
The article talked about how this could change, like, workforce training, especially for migrant students.
Oh, yeah, that's a really cool program they're doing.
Right, because those students, they move around a lot, so it's harder for them to get into, like, STEM stuff.
It's tough to keep up with the latest science and tech when you're constantly switching schools and everything.
Totally. But this program, it gives them a chance to work with this cutting-edge neuromorphic computing stuff.
Hands-on experience, you know, which is super valuable.
For sure. And it's not just good for the students, right? It helps the whole industry, too.
Oh, absolutely. The U.S. needs more people who are skilled in semiconductors, and this program is helping to build that workforce.
And making sure that workforce is diverse, which is awesome.
Exactly. It's like they're setting everyone up for success, both the students and the industry.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, right? The science, the potential of AI, even the social impact.
Yeah, it's been pretty mind-blowing, honestly.
But there's one thing that keeps coming back to me, something you said earlier.
What's that?
The ethics of it all. Like, this technology, it's powerful, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Exactly. We're talking about AI that could learn and adapt like us. That's like a whole new level.
Right. So the question is, how do we make sure it's used for good? How do we prevent any, unintended consequences?
Those are the big questions. And honestly, they kind of scare me a little.
I get it. It's a lot to wrap your head around. But it's important that we have these conversations now while this technology is still being developed.
We can't just wait until it's too late, right?
No way. And it's not just on the scientists to figure this out. We all need to be involved. Policymakers, ethicists, the public, everyone.
It's a shared responsibility. This future, it's not something that's just happening to us. We're all creating it together.
Well said. So for our listeners who are, totally hooked on this topic now, where can they learn more?
Yeah. Any suggestions?
Well, we mentioned the NSF's Future of Semiconductor program, Fuse 2.
Right. Fuse 2. I have to check that out.
They've got tons of info on the latest research. And for those who want to dive deeper into the ethics stuff, there are a bunch of organizations focused on responsible AI development. A quick Google search will turn up a lot of good stuff.
Perfect. And beyond that, just stay curious, Keep asking questions, keep learning. This whole field is moving so fast, it's exciting. and a little scary, but mostly exciting.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. It's an amazing time to be alive, that's for sure.
Totally agree. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of neuromorphic computing. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.